Welcome to Setting the Course. This is Unit 3 in the training series, Being the Best Community Action Board. OCS Information Memorandum 82 states that a CSBG-eligible entity must be administered by a tripartite board that, quote, fully participates in the development, planning, implementation, and evaluation of the program. We're going to look at the first two of the four responsibilities in that sentence, development and planning. Development is how the Community Action Agency learns what it has to work with. Planning is about how the agency describes what it is going to do in the short and long run.
A board's responsibility for development rests on the foundation of community assessment. CSBG legislation requires each grantee to carry out a community assessment. Many state CSBG offices require these assessments every 3 to 5 years. The following quote from a National Guidance to Community Action Agencies, issued in 1970, still presents the development and planning responsibilities most clearly. Here's what it has to say about development. In developing its strategy and plans, the CAA shall take into account the areas of greatest community need, the availability of resources, and its own strengths and limitations. This assessment is supported by the 3-sector membership of a CAA board. The board is an intentional window into the community. Low-income members bring knowledge and experience of low-income people and the conditions in which they live. Elected officials can speak to the political climate in the communities served, and community representatives contribute the expectations and resources from a variety of community groups and organizations. The word community will be used in this presentation and others in this series to mean the service area of your community action agency. That could be as different as an urban neighborhood, an entire city or region, or one or more counties. The larger the service area, the more important it is for the community assessment to reflect important differences in geography, age distribution, or population groups. The first task of community assessment is to understand the nature of poverty in the community. Questions to answer in describing low-income people include: who is poor? Young children, single parents, seniors, minority populations. Are there identifiable low-income neighborhoods or communities? How are low-income people distributed in the service area? Where are low-income people most challenged in meeting their basic needs? Housing, food, employment, transportation. What barriers do low-income people have to overcome to gain greater control over their lives, to move toward greater self-sufficiency? Based on this understanding, the assessment process needs to document the community resources that can help low-income people move ahead. What are the actual employment opportunities? What experience, education, or skills do these jobs require? How many jobs are there? How many job seekers? Are the education or training opportunities available to low-income people a useful path to employment? Is there assistance to help low-income people find affordable housing, reliable transportation, affordable quality childcare, so they can get education, training, or a job? When cataloging community resources, it is just as important to identify the resources that are missing as those that exist. A community assessment must take an honest and thorough inventory of the Community Action Agency's strengths and expertise. Our Head Start staff, community experts in early child development. Has the Rural Transportation Program tapped its full service potential? Could the weatherization program skills at reducing home energy consumption be a partner with a community college construction program? In short, Where can the organization make the greatest difference? A community assessment should follow an organized, structured process, a board-approved plan. If changes in the service area have been minimal since the last assessment, the process might require a 1 or 2 month effort. If community changes have been more significant, a more extensive and in-depth assessment might take up to 6 months. That level of effort would justify designating an assessment coordinator.
A solid community assessment lays the foundation for the second full participation responsibility stated in the CSBG law: planning. Let's go back to the advice on planning in the 1970 guidance document. The Community Action Agency should establish realistic, attainable objectives expressed in concrete terms which permit the measurement of results. Given the size of the poverty problem and its own limited resources, the CAA should concentrate its efforts on 1 or 2 major objectives where it can have the greatest impact. OEO Instruction 1106-1, 1970. Based on its community assessment, the board sets out what it proposes to achieve in 2 documents: a strategic or multi-year plan and an annual community action plan. Strategic plans set long-range goals. A typical strategic plan sets out a program of accomplishments for the next 3 to 5 years. This works if dramatic changes are not expected in the community or in funding streams. 2-year strategic plans might be appropriate if the future of funding appears uncertain, or if weather or economic disaster produce disruptions that will be felt for years, or if major reductions in employment reflect underlying economic shifts in the community. On a more positive note, some CAAs look forward 10 to 15 years to create a vision of what they would like the community to look like because of the work of the agency. After stating its multi-year goals, the board must create a document called a Community Action Plan. This plan is required of all entities that receive CSBG funds. The CSBG law requires these plans be organized by a performance measurement system. That system makes it possible for the 1,000-plus CAAs to report on their achievements using the same categories and terms. The Community Action Network has been refining a framework of 6 national goals since 1994. The 6 goals are organized into 3 groups. 2 goals are about improving the lives of low-income people. 2 goals are about creating supportive and welcoming community conditions for low-income people. And the last 2 goals concern expansion of the Community Action Agency's capacity to achieve the other 4 goals.
Let's wrap up. When fully participating in development and planning, the board is creating policy. From Unit 3 to Unit 5, the board's focus shifts from making policy to verifying that policy was carried out. In Unit 4, we will look at the board's relationship with its executive. We will also see that the national goals and indicators are fundamental for evaluating executive performance. Thank you for your time and attention, and for service on your CAA Board of Directors.